Police arrived at the house before dawn. Delphine Jubillar was gone. Her husband said she had simply walked away in the middle of the night. White down jacket, just her phone, no explanation. But inside the house, investigators found something that stopped them. The couple's duvet, tumbling inside a washing machine, running at 4:50 in the morning. While two young children slept upstairs, while their mother was nowhere to be found. 5 years later, nobody has ever explained why that duvet was being washed in the middle of the night. Not once. Not during 5 years of investigation. Not during 4 weeks of trial. Not ever. A French court sentenced a man to 30 years in prison for murdering his wife. There was just one problem. Nobody could prove she was dead. Her body has never been found. Not in 5 years of searching. Not in forests. Not in rivers. Not in fields. Not in the burned-down farm investigators searched twice. No body. No crime scene. No weapon. No blood. No DNA. Nothing. And yet on October 17th, 2025, 9 jurors in a courthouse in southern France deliberated for 6 hours and returned a verdict that divided an entire country. Guilty. 30 years. For a murder nobody can physically prove happened. In a house where forensic teams found nothing. For a victim nobody has ever located. 2 jurors out of 9 voted not guilty. The appeal opens September 21st, 2026, and Delphine Jubillar is still out there somewhere, waiting to be found. This is her story, and his, and the question that sits between them that nobody has answered yet. Welcome to the Hidden Chapters, uncovering the truth behind every crime. Southern France. A small village called Cagnac-les-Mines in the Tarn. December 2020. The second COVID lockdown. France is quiet in the way only a pandemic makes a country quiet. Delphine Jubillar is 33 years old, a nurse, one of the people keeping the health system alive while the rest of France stays home. She has 2 young children, a house in a small community where everyone knows everyone, and a marriage that is collapsing. She and her husband Cedric, a painter and plasterer, are separating. It isn't amicable. Cedric reportedly cannot accept that she wants to leave. There's another layer. Delphine has a lover, someone in the village. In the days before she disappears, the lover's wife discovers the affair and begins sending confrontational messages. The night of December 15th becomes tense. 2 neighbors later tell investigators they heard screams coming from the direction of the Jubillar house at around 11 p.m. Not raised voices, screams. The couple's son, 6 years old, is in the house that night. He later tells investigators his parents were arguing. Whatever happened after that remains officially unproven. What investigators established is this. By 4 a.m., Delphine was gone, and Cedric was on the phone to the gendarmerie. Cedric told police his wife had left the house voluntarily in the middle of the night. White down jacket, only her phone, no destination, no reason. At 4 a.m., he had messaged a friend of Delphine's, "Tell Delphine to come home." The friend replied immediately, "Delphine isn't with me." Gendarmes arrived at 4:50 a.m. That's when they found the washing machine, running, the duvet inside it. In the hours that followed, investigators noticed something else. Delphine's phone had last emitted a signal at 10:55 p.m. the previous night, pinging a cell tower near the house, but not the one it normally connected to when she was home. The torch on her phone had never been activated that night. The street outside had no lighting. She supposedly left alone in the dark, in December, without turning her torch on, without her car. Her car was parked facing the opposite direction from where Cedric claimed she had walked. Condensation inside the vehicle suggested it had been used recently. Within hours, something felt deeply wrong to the gendarmes on scene. Within 6 months, it became a murder charge. If you enjoy evidence-driven true crime documentaries, consider subscribing. New investigations every week. What followed was one of the most extensive searches in recent French criminal history. Dogs, helicopters, hundreds of volunteers combing the Tarn countryside, forests, rivers, fields, abandoned wells, a burned-down farm that had been mentioned, almost in passing, by one of Cedric's former partners. Investigators obtained a U.S. court order forcing Google to hand over GPS data from Cedric's Android phone, hoping it might lead them somewhere. They tested the washing machine water. They examined the duvet and its cover for biological traces. They took drain samples from the house. Forensic teams went through every room looking for any physical evidence of what the prosecution believed had happened inside those walls. The washing machine water. Nothing. The duvet. No human traces detected. The drain samples. No blood. No biological material. The house. No confirmed crime scene identified. 5 years. No body. No weapon. No forensic evidence of a crime. And that total absence became the beating heart of everything the defense would argue. This is the part of this story that deserves to be heard clearly. Because Cedric Jubillar has said from the first moment police arrived at his door to the last day of his trial, he didn't do this. And 2 out of 9 jurors believed him enough to vote not guilty. Think about that carefully. Not 1 dissenting juror, 2. Here is what the defense argued. No body has ever been found. 5 years of searching across an entire region of southern France produced nothing. No remains, no grave, no location. If Cedric Jubillar murdered his wife inside that house, where is she? No blood was found anywhere. Not in the washing machine water, not in the drain, not on the bedding, not on any surface in any room. Forensic science teams examined that house in detail. They found nothing connecting it to a violent act. No DNA evidence links Cedric to a murder. The prosecution's case contains no forensic anchor, no physical proof that a crime happened, let alone that he committed it. The alleged confessions were all disputed. The ex-girlfriend who claimed Cedric confessed to strangling Delphine during a prison visit. He denied it. The former partner who said he described burying her at a burned-down farm. He called it a tasteless joke said in a dark moment. His mother's testimony about threats. He said it was frustration during a bitter separation, not intention. The defense argued investigators made up their minds within hours of arriving at that house and spent the next 5 years building a case to fit a conclusion they'd already reached, rather than following the evidence wherever it actually led. The first responding gendarmes were inexperienced. Inconsistencies in their early notes were raised and debated at trial. The foundation of the entire investigation, those critical first hours, was contested throughout. This is not a clean case. 7 jurors convicted, 2 didn't. And in September 2026, a completely new jury will decide which side they believe. And yet, the prosecution built something that 7 jurors found impossible to walk away from. Not forensic evidence, something older, in some ways more visceral. The words of people who knew Cedric Jubillar. His own mother, Nadine, took the stand against her son. She testified that weeks before Delphine disappeared, Cedric had threatened to kill his wife and hide her body somewhere no one would ever find her. At trial, she told the jury she no longer believed those words had been empty anger. An ex-girlfriend named Jennifer testified that during a prison visit, Cedric admitted strangling Delphine inside their home. Another former partner testified that he described burying Delphine at a burned-down farm investigators had already searched. He later claimed it had only been a joke. A former nanny testified he had once casually compared himself to Alexis Davel, a French man who murdered his wife and then publicly helped search for her body before eventually confessing. Under cross-examination, Cedric acknowledged telling Delphine, "I will kill her," insisting it had been spoken in anger rather than as a genuine threat. The prosecution's argument wasn't built on one piece of evidence. It was built on the pattern they believed those pieces created: threats made before the disappearance. Screams heard that night. A 6-year-old boy describing his parents arguing. A washing machine running before dawn. Phone records that didn't fit the story. A car that raised new questions. Witnesses describing his words and behavior before and after Delphine vanished. Individually, the defense argued none of those things proved murder. Together, the prosecution said, they proved something else entirely. 7 jurors accepted that argument. 2 did not. That divide is why this case is returning to court. There's one detail in this case that changes the weight of everything else. The Jubillar's elder son was 6 years old on the night his mother disappeared. He was inside that house. He heard what happened. He has since said he never wants to see his father again. At the appeal trial in September 2026, he intends to testify. He'll be a young teenager by then, old enough to stand in a courtroom, old enough to tell a jury what a 6-year-old boy experienced on the night of December 15, 2020. Whatever he says could change everything. The trial had lasted 4 weeks. Queues outside the Albi courthouse began forming at 6 a.m. on verdict day. 15 seats available in the main courtroom. The overflow room filled before the doors opened. Cedric sat in the glass-fronted dock throughout, composed, controlled, retreating into silence whenever cross-examination became most confrontational. "I have nothing more to say," he told the court repeatedly. "I am innocent." After 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned, 7-2. Guilty. 30 years. As the verdict was read, Delphine's family held each other in the courtroom. Cedric showed no visible emotion. His lawyers were immediately on their feet. Appeal. September 21st, 2026. Toulouse. A completely new jury. Every piece of evidence presented again. Every witness potentially recalled. Cedric has already replaced his entire legal team with a high-profile defense lawyer known for fighting complex criminal cases in the French courts. He remains in solitary confinement, a condition his legal team has repeatedly challenged without success. And Delphine is still out there, somewhere in the countryside of southern France. Her children don't have a grave to visit. They don't have a place to go and be close to her. After the verdict, the lawyer representing those children stood up and made one direct request to Cedric Jubillar. "Tell us where she is." That request still hasn't been answered. Delphine Jubillar was a nurse who worked through a pandemic while her marriage fell apart around her. On the night of December 15, 2020, she vanished without a trace. A court says it was her husband. Her husband says it wasn't him. 2 jurors agreed with him. 7 didn't. The appeal in September 2026 will decide whether that verdict stands. But somewhere in southern France, a woman is still waiting to be found. Her children are still waiting for the answer no child should have to ask. Where is she? 5 years later, no grave, no answer. Only one question remains. Where is Delphine Jubillar?
If this case stayed with you, you're not the only one. And if you're ready for the details most people miss, there's more waiting in the full Hidden Chapters playlist.